Hi, and welcome guys to another tutorial in Unity 3D. Now, if you guys are into gaming and things like that, then you are going to love this channel because this is dedicated on making a game in Unity 3D. So, in a lot of our previous videos, we had classes that we've done and saving and loading, simple examples, but this time around, I was thinking of doing a refactor of the project because there's a lot of scattered information and duplicate information. Just duplicate stuff that just doesn't look right for me, and I've never been really fond of it because, well, it's just messy looking. For me, it looks messy. So, what I've done is I've started rewriting scripts and putting the information that we need in a central class, as in once for player, once for player weapons, once for world records, things of that nature. So, in spite of that, we will be working with a completely new structure for our system that we have now. So in this tutorial, we are going to refactor a lot of our code to do one simple thing, and one simple thing greatly. Instead of a class doing multiple things that are just, it just looks messy, it's hard to write and debug. So our previous videos are nothing but prototypes, and we're going to factor into a nice classier way that's more professional and well known. So we will be working with a variety of code like this. Okay, and what this class does is, we are a child class. We will be working with serialization in by itself. We will be getting information. So what this class is these classes here, which have been renamed, and things that deal with player stuff, like player status, player level, save, and load things. Required information that we need for our level, like the maximum amount of health the player needs, and the required experience needed to gain another level. Now, these world records, these, I am believing or not, I am thinking about making this into a class of its own, a static class, most likely for use in just adding and subtracting information, like how much the player has healed itself, or total kills per life, deaths, hit, miss, how many times have you missed the enemy or just shot out in the middle of nowhere and done nothing. Highest player level. So this could be the amount that you have. Now, player stats, I have this type of information in it. Our med packs, our level, money, gold, silver, med, just information like that. And world model. Where was our world model when we instantiated into the world? Well, where we previously, the model that we have, the player name, we need the player name. Everybody's going to have their own unique name, their model that they had, and their position and rotational data. And we are going to have something for the player level that's saving and loading, and we're expecting a level. We open our file path, which we do by a file stream equals file.open, application, stream, and assets. And this is nothing but a string of what you want to open. This could be anything. Any file location that you want on your hard drive, it will do. And we type in file mode.open because we want information to be available to us. And this data is our class data. It's a container. Here, that gives us the required information, like the XP you need, the level, and your maximum health. Okay? And then it passes that information into whatever requested that info. And before we do that and everything, we must have file.close. Because if we ever need to access this file again, it will give us a sharing exception error. It'll give us a violation error because you cannot try to open something when something already has it open. So that is what this class does. And the serializer is the type of class that we are serializing or deserializing. The string file path, that's fine. And this is not a mono behavior. So even though this has an update and a start, these will never be executed because these are part of the mono behavior extension. They drive from mono, but this drives from itself. And we put serializable here so that it can be seen in the inspector. And what I mean by the inspector is simply our inspector in the window. Right here. This right here is a child class in our parent class. And this parent class is nothing but a regular mono behavior. It is a very simple class of our manager. It has this child class, which is the pure C like class. Okay, it's not derived from mono or anything. So you will always have this. You don't have to type new or anything else. This will always exist in your program from the start. It's like the script that you have attached. Instead of having it attached, it's the child of this. But there is a few things in here. We will not have anything have access to this information besides our manager. We have this basically inaccessible from other classes. Like if you do a find and you have the R manager class there and you're trying to push information to the player stats class, the player stats manager here, it will not do anything because they are private or protected classes. This you can go to because it's public, it's accessible. But these other ones are not. Even though you can see it in the inspector, it's because this serializable field that we have. We just want it to be serialized in the inspector. That's it. So we done the file returning. We have our classes that are renamed for data collection. This all deals with the player, except for this one. This one I think I am going to put someplace else. But it makes sense to have it in here in a way. So I will probably be debating about that. So we have these in our classes this way because this class right here, look at this. It is very difficult to see where this stuff is going, where it's being saved, and this get item, it makes no sense for me to have this function in here and then have player stats saving and returning information as well. It makes no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. And the reason why I did this in the first place is for prototyping. Well, we are getting to the phase where we don't have to prototype anymore. We know the structure that we want. So we are going to have to refactor into a system where we can find information easier. And plus, as the project grows, it's going to be very difficult if we have to search for functions inside of different classes and whatnot. We need a central depository of player stuff, as game object stuff, as weapon stuff. We need that type of file structure versus what we used to have. And this gives us a great time to allocate to different scripts so that we can do what needs to be done in a more sensible fashion. So player load data, it's a player stats, which are, where'd that class go? Not a world, not asset builder, not make weapon, class, level manager, no. Okay, did I actually close that class? Okay, so go to declaration. Okay, here we are. And that's exactly what I mean, going to find something. So this used to be our player stats thing. It would load the level information and things. Well, player stats, let's look at the class of it. Player stats is right here. XP, kills, and all that stuff. Well, we no longer have it done in this fashion. This is our old code that we are steering away from. So what do we have for this? It's going to be our world record stuff. So we do not have currently a function that does our world things. So this sounds like a player stats thing, right? I mean, it does to me. So player stats, we have the class already in our player manager. Okay, we have the class. This is the class that we want to write to now. But we need a function to load details. So we will grab this, copy it, okay, and we will paste it in here. Now, we are going to get some errors, and that's to be expected because we want to load and save this type of info. So it's expecting this, and it's expecting other stuff. So for now, let's not worry about that stuff. Let's go up to here and get the things that we need. Well, for our simplicity's sakes and things, we will make a summary right here. And the summary will give us access to some really cool stuff. And we can say, this is for the world player stats. It's for loading, because that's what it's doing. It is loading stuff, and it returns player details. No, it does not return player details. It returns player world records. It's expecting it. So in our thing, our application, it's doing player data, p data, and it's deserializing from this, okay? Which our player stats class in our Unity thing, it's right here, okay? So player stats, we are using this serializer for now, okay? And we need the serializer, but we're not going to put it up here up here. Okay. And quite frankly, most of that I will probably not have there as well. The file system, I say, goes up top. Yes, that makes sense. But we need a serializer. So we're going to take this information right here. We are going to cut it. And we're going to put it down here in this fashion right here. What this will do is when we go to here, here's our save and load stuff. Okay, when we write another function below it, we don't have to go clear up to the top to look for it. We can go right here and it will be there. And this will have no effect in our program whatsoever. Okay, it will not go slower or null out or anything of that fashion. We are just doing we're just making a different file structure so that we can read it. World stats. And we need to change stuff. So it will be player world stats. P data, no. We don't have a data class yet. And what I'm thinking for the data class is instead of our actual P data right here, this one, we are just going to have this be a runtime thing. Okay, and what I mean by a runtime thing is it's just going to be a brand new one. Okay, equals new player stats. Okay, it's just going to be a new one. And then when we do our file, ooh, wrong thing. Whoops, wrong one. That could have ended up bad. So we have this. Now we need a file extension. Okay, a file extension for this. So data, p data. What was it called before? Player data. Player data. Okay, so we'll keep the same structure for now for that. And it exists now. So when this happens and everything, we will have it right here versus all the way up at the top. Because look, you got to go way up here, then here, then here, then here, and it's just way too much. By the time you get up here, you forget what line you was on. And that's no good. That's no good. No good. And I leave this at the top because of it doesn't need to be down here or anything else, because every single time we go to load data, we pass in a string and stuff. It's just there for the file stream. Instead of going a new variable each time, we just have one single one that it just does what it needs to do. Okay, it does what it needs to do. So we have a file stream, our class, our universal thing. So we have this get item function, which doesn't make sense to me. Get item. What kind of item are we getting? Is it going to be a med pack? Is it going to be vice versa? We should have a item class. It makes more sense to me because we will go item class, then boom, give it. Instead of player.player.player.item, get item, something like that. That's just crazy. So we are going to make another C# class in Unity. That will be another pure class, but the reason why we will have it in this way is it's going to make it a lot easier for us to get items in the meantime. So we'll go C# item manager. Okay, and what our item manager will do is it's going to be responsible for getting items, making items, stuff like that. It's not going to have all the other stuff in it. You know, I mean, it says more scripts, but instead of going and descending into multiple clear old functions and cluttering up your class, you're going to have it in one class, which I find a lot more helpful than this. So we're going to need all this stuff, okay? And we're going to go up here, and we're just going to paste all that stuff into there because we know we're going to use it. And this will not be a mono behavior. This will be a regular class. So we don't have to worry about the start or update. We don't, because they're part of the mono extension, so they're not going to run anyway. So in our class, because we've done this, we can copy this name in here, and we will do we may want this public because it gets items. So we're going to make this a public item manager items. Okay, because we may want to make this into a singleton and then go into the item class from our button and just have it do one specific job like we did before. It returns an item that with when we have the mats for it. So we may want this to be public, or we may make a function down here that does what it needs to do as well. But I say let's leave it public because it just makes sense that it's public because we're getting and setting and doing information with items. So in our item class, what are we going to have? Well, it's going to be items. So I look for our item manager public. This is a public class, so you'll be able to find it, but you won't be able to do anything with it yet. Let's look at our Unity loading logic again. It's saving logic, which does not make sense to me, but it's okay. So get item, and it does all this stuff. Well, I am fine with it doing all this stuff. I'm perfectly fine with it doing all this. And it returns our object, which is fine. We should have this function here. It makes perfect sense. So we're going to go, I'm just going to delete this update because it's unnecessary. And I'm going to paste this information in. Now, it is going to have problems with this. It's because it does not have this information. So we are going to make a new one. And what it is called when we did that, what's it called? It was called craft. So we will put it as craft equals new craft manager. Okay. So this one, I feel that this is a no-no. We are probably going to use this a lot. So I know get item uses it, so we are going to put this here. I'm fine with that. Okay. And it's instantiating 1 equals new craft manager. I'm fine with this. This makes absolutely perfect sense to me. Now, for our system here, get item, well, we need stuff that used to be in here. Now, item used to be a thing, okay, which is fine. We had a craft path, which is our path for the extension. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense to me. Okay, perfect sense to me. I'm fine with that. File does not exist. Well, it doesn't exist, but it can exist. And we will type in file, stream, file. Okay. I'm perfectly fine with that because it needs a file stream. Item does not exist. Well, actually this is probably it right here. And this is what I'm talking about right here. This is the serializer. P crafts, craft. Oh, right here. And this is exactly what I'm talking about is I have it everywhere in a class. This class does all kinds of stuff. That's messy. That's very messy. So let's do this because we will be needing a serializer. And that's fine. So this, yes, this probably was path. I mean item. Okay, and this should be down below here. Now the reason why I say down below here is simple. It looks like something that is specific to my get item function. Okay, so I don't have to have it at the top. I can put it right here. And this is what I love to do. That way, when I go to the function, I can go, this is what all this uses. So I'm cool. So we have a file loading now, and it's public function. So anybody could use this to receive a item. And this ID file. Do we have a ID file here? Nope. So we are good with that. But in our stuff here in our item manager, we have a for loop right here. Item requested dot length, item dot requested. So what is our craft manager? Our craft manager is okay. Item manager is a extension method. Well, it's not an extension method, but it's a class for holding data. The crafts, which is our int item and amounts things. And that sounds like something that should actually be in our item class. So we are going to cut this out because we don't have to make any changes to it. And we will paste it below. Because it's what it's dealing with our item class. and I noticed that Manger. I completely spazzed out and did not write that correctly. But it's okay for now. I'll change it some other time. So we have this. Okay. And we have that. We have our serializer, a string path. But in our classes, we also have crafts, which if you don't remember is part of the class that we just done. So item manager, crafts for requested items should be in here. So this class should be in here. Okay. And this item array, what is this? Let's go to drive class. Item array classes is a list of get items. No, it's not a list of get items. It's an array of get items. Well, why do we need that right there when we have crafts right here? Makes no sense whatsoever. And that is exactly one reason why I said that this is too messy and we need to deal with this. So we are going to go to pcrafts right here, and we're going to find all references. We have it in this, the deserialization, which this right here, save player craft data. This looks like something for the editor, which means it's a file that we probably create instead of the player itself. So these are probably mostly, this method is for saving it, okay? And this is for loading it, looks like. So these methods are not even really useful for us. So in our item manager, we should not put them here. The loading of this stuff sounds fine, but it does not look like something that we should have. Now, our return item is loaded from resources, which brings me up to the question of, do we want to use resource loading or do we want to use asset bundle loading, where we load an asset bundle into memory and pull the game objects out and then use them as we see fit and just get rid of the bundle itself until we need it again, so we load it again. And that brings up the question that if we want to use them. Right now, I think we should stick with resource loading because it's simple. We can use a simple string to get the item, and you do not have to learn asset bundling. Now, if you want to learn asset bundling, that is fine and dandy. So where's the other one? Craft Manager? Where's Craft Manager in here? Oh, it's because of Craft Manager and Craft Manager. Why is it giving me a problem for that? Because this is a class. This is outside the class, and this is inside. That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me. Or because I didn't save. Okay, world records to player stats. Okay, so I did not save. That is one of the things. So we got an error, and this error is from here. And this is a good example of bad casting. See, I'm casting that I want this type of item, and the data that I will be doing will be that type of item, but I'm not serializing it as that type. So I changed that. Okay. And what other errors do I got? Okay, that makes no sense. With our return p data. Oh, p data. P world data. Okay. No. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I got to change this as well to this type because it's expecting that type. Okay. So we have this because this is the variable that I'm using. Then we make this variable equal what we're deserializing. And then we close it and return the data. And then it just, gets garbage collected, but we'll probably have a permanent variable somewhere in this system for like our manager classes and stuff like that for UIs and things, or it's on the player. So this is kind of a request one. So do we have any more errors? Probably not. I'm pretty positive we don't. Yes, no more errors. So this has already gone on for about 40 some minutes, and it's going to be really dull for refactoring. So I think I will end this right here so that it doesn't get too lengthy. And this is going to start getting our player stuff, and this is going to start getting our item stuff. So there's two classes that we made that will make it a lot simpler, I think, in the long run for debugging and adding functionality to our stuff. But before I let you guys go, we will go into Unity, and no, not Unity yet, code, and we will go to our manager class. So we've got our public functionality here. Okay, so we can go over to Unity, and we should be able to see our manager class. I put new manager, and see this item class? We have the extension here. Okay, so we can close, do this stuff in the inspector for debugging purposes, and where we want to put our data for crafting. And later on, we might make this into a binary file so that players can't edit it, but I stayed away from that because of maybe we want the players to be able to mod and things. Maybe we want them to use an asset bundle that will just load up a different stuff, and that would be fine for us. We don't care. But we are moving away from that messy code that I've done before for prototyping purposes and going to this type of extension method where we have classes that deal with one specific thing and do it effectively and efficiently. And we have a parent manager class to contain that type of stuff. So all we have to do is go manager, please give me an item of this quality, or manager.item manager, and then push the extension method that we need, the function, so we can return an object of whatever we want, data of whatever we want, and that will make it a lot easier to code for our UI system, because our UI system has to be able to read in and do information from the actual manager class, because the UI layer does not need to know everything in the game. It just needs to know what it needs from the item manager or the weapon manager itself. Our weapon manager will contain a lot of information and it will be extensive. I've already started coding it and everything for you guys, so I've got quite a few plans to refactor this project into something a lot simpler, but a lot easier to debug instead of our prototype that we had before. So thank you very much and take her easy, and I hope that some of this made sense to you. You know, the file, string, and open. And we will be going over a lot of this stuff in the near future, because we have to write code in the manager to do what we need and vice versa. So, but like I said, we will eventually eliminate, well, I haven't said, we will eventually delete this entire class right here. And we will just want our player stats manager, our level manager, maybe not our level manager, but we will have a manager, an item manager, and a player stats manager, which player stats should only do player stats stuff, like I said, and items should only do item stuff. Makes it a whole lot easier to serialize, and it makes it a whole lot simpler once you have something that needs a file system, because this all over the place here, not working for me. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you guys have started looking into editors like so and crafting tools, because we are going to be doing extensive work on both and making all kinds of cool stuff in the near future. So, you know, check us out on Patreon, YouTube, and Twitch if you like. And just take her easy, guys, and keep on pushing and learning, because you're going to do a fine job on your game. I promise. Well, I can't really promise, but I promise you'll learn something. So thank you, and hit like, subscribe, follow, donate, comment, share, whatever you guys do. Keep on trucking and keep on doing. Peace, guys, and good night.